Micah, and we're going for that restoration again to find the pattern and the words, or the format and the words. Oops, I got to do this, a little bit of lights, and now the text. Okay. Should have checked to see if I was presentable here. Anyways, trying to go through these a little faster, but even this, I think it's going to be at least a 4-hour. So what it is you know the routine. Then I changed the word from word to prophecy. Needed from and not of YV through Micah, and we don't need to know that if there's such a place as that. In the days for Jotham and Hezekiah. Now, both of these guys were good kings. And you can see I got Asa there as being out. Now, why is that? Well, let me see. Oops. I took it down. Okay. Well, under my study of kings and spending years doing this, we're talking about the two kings here, and this Asa is way over here, many years before Jotham, okay, or Jotham. And now, if that is wrong, which I don't think it is, we would have a king like this in this area, okay? Because what we're going to be doing is talking about the fall of these tribes. Now, you have to understand this guy was the king at that time, and the text well proves that. So it might be this king instead of that king, but does it really matter? If it does, I should recorrect that text. And instead of making it out, I'm going to make it this color here. And then that would be true if this was saying the kings for Israel and Judah. So there's one strike against this king because he's a king from Israel, or a kingdom for Israel. Now it's concerning Samaria and Jerusalem. Now what is Samaria? Samaria is the capital city for the kingdom of Judah, just as Jerusalem is for Judah. Now, I could go into a long story about that, but actually, we don't have time for that here. Just you have to trust me in some of these things. Now, we need to find out if it is, because if it is, then I would have to put his name up here and then put kings of Judah and Israel. Okay, but if not, this text needs to be gone and this put in. Okay, now this is Micah talking about what he has heard through our Creator. Okay, and for the days of Jotham and Hezekiah are kings for Judah concerning Jerusalem. Hear, my people, for everyone well, this can be everyone just done this way, because this is really, if you look at the text, either or could be switched out, or it could be for this. For every one of you are to listen to me. Okay. I just did it, and I can't remember if I just did this word. In all earth, in earth and all it contains. Well, we know that this is not true. Okay. And yet we have 3 verse subject here and a 2. Now, I'm trying to find the format, and what I'm seeing is these 3 words hooked together, and these 3 not so much. But when it comes down to saying, is it a 4 verse, we need to know that this just is not true, okay? Even though it is a format, it just doesn't seem to have anything to be truthful here. Because what it is our Creator is going to reveal his prophecy through Micah. And when you read that, all this is for the rebellion of Jacob and the sins from the house of Israel. Now comes up to the point that it is for Israel up here. Okay? So, what I need to do, well, I'll get to that a little later, I guess. But what I'm looking for is, hear my people, for every one of you are to listen to me. And it's not, and let our Lord be witness against you. It is, our Lord YV is a witness against you, okay? Not just be, but is a witness against you. Our Lord is in his, I would have to add the word here to here. Our Lord from his holy house. Now, actually, he only comes there to visit the house, and that's in Jerusalem. Otherwise, we would know that he is a witness against you because he's in heaven looking down. So, the thing here, or this is what they were thinking, actually our Creator is in full control of everything, okay? So, he doesn't have to look down, he just knows. Our Lord YV is witness against you. Our Lord from his holy house is coming forth from his place. He will come down and tread on high places on earth. Well, we know that this is not true, okay? He will come down and he's not coming down himself. So this is wrong, that he's not coming down himself, okay? If anything, he sends people against a kingdom against you. And this is why when I showed you the map, why it was towards the end of Jerusalem, okay, and or of Israel. And Jerusalem doesn't fall for a while. So YV is coming forth from his place and tread on high places. I'm trying to still see how this fits into the verses. He is coming forth. He is sent forth. Okay. He is sent forth. And not is, it would be has. Has sent forth And this is just not from his place. This just doesn't. If we know we know he's in heaven. If he's sending forth, we know where it's from. To tread on your high places, and he has sent forth to destroy your high places. Okay. So now this is talking about when the people were going on to a female goddess and her creator, which is Ra, the sun god, and she's the moon goddess. And no, you should understand that. He has sent forth to, because that's evil, you went on to another creator, you sin, to remove your high places. Now what they did was, a high place is considered the highest place on land or like on their rooftop, and they would be performing their own vows and pouring out a libation or offering of a liquid, usually oil, to their new god. That was their practice. So YV has sent forth to remove your high places. Okay, so now you understand what a high place is. It could be just altars, okay? Is witness against you. And see, I don't need this for it to become a 4-verse, okay? But for a 3-verse, I need to grab something from here, and I don't see that yet. If I take, see, what I would do is I would say, okay, can this be a sentence? YV is a witness against you. Our Lord is against you. Okay, I'll remove this word. Our Lord is a witness against you. And if I do this, it has a 3-verse format like up here. Okay. And if I remove this, I have to remove this. And I'll leave that in case I need to come back and use it. Okay. YV has sent forth to remove your high places. All this well, they weren't a rebellion, and these are known as sins because in the 12 commandments, if you turn away from our Creator, that is a sin. If you're not forgiven of this sin, you are his enemy and you are now committing evilness. To remove your high places for these sins in the house, in the kingdom for Israel. And that would make that a 3. What is the rebellion from Jacob? Is it not Samaria? What is the high place of Judah? Is not Jerusalem? See, here he's talking about Samaria being a heap of ruins. Okay, now that would be, we're talking about here, the kingdom. Would be for Judah or for Israel. And I like making it bold so we know it's not the man. For their sins. In for their sins in the kingdom for Israel. And then these two would be smaller, and I'll put them in yellow as doubting that if it does need to be made more than 3 verses, I need to add that, something in from here. YHVH has sent forth to remove your high places, for they are sins, for they are sins in the kingdom for Israel. Okay. Now we have 3 verse, we have 3 verse, and 3 verse. Which makes me think that the Micah is a prophet in Judah. And he's talking about a kingdom in Judah or in Israel. Let me bring up, because I need to, let's see this again. If I put Micah in here, because he does lose all these tribes here, okay? And then they had no king for 5 years, then it was this. So we got 28 years, and it's going to happen beforehand, so this is out. So I'm looking at like as a group here, and what we're going to do is end up having just I want to say like this at this time. Okay, so now that's the truth. We need to change this to this name. And it would be that this name would be after, and the days of John, and you wouldn't need this guy. Let me see that again. Yeah. Okay, because see, he loses it, but it's 28 years. So if I look, yeah, it would be, okay, then it's what I've got is marked here. So then it's this here king. So what I'm trying to do is figure out the order here. And I would change the order here. Whoops, I hate that when I hit something I don't know. John, and this guy here. And I would get rid of that, get that, make that yellow, and say that I moved it over here. And the days for Jotham, Hezekiah, and Micah are kings for Judah, and I need the word and Israel. Need to be bold. Then I need to add this. Now we're very truthful of what the subject is. And it is concerning Samara. We need to bring that back up to 12. And, whoops, bring this word back. But because they're good kings, Jerusalem is good people. But it's starting to spread into the kingdom of Judah. Okay? Hear my people, for every one of you are to listen to me. Our Lord is a witness against you. He has sent forth to remove your high places. Yeah, I would say now here needs to be added. Now he is, not has, he is. He is sending. And I guess fourth could be like this because it's, well, actually, sending. Yeah, I guess leave it there. To remove your high places, for they are sins in the kingdoms. Have to be an S here. He's talking to both of them, right? Sins in the kingdom for Israelis. If I add the IS, now we have, it's just the people who are bad people. Okay? Now we've gotten that straightened out because it's got to be talking about both peoples. Okay. They didn't use, because actually this king, Hazik, okay? I call him Hazik. I don't like adding all this IAH at the end of names. Anyways, he actually went to the high priests, or the high priests that were still in and serving our Creator. So they were good still there. So this is not true that the high place in Jerusalem, in Judah, is Jerusalem. Okay, so this is not true. This part. Okay. It's like, why do you have high places in Judah? Okay. Now I might get rid of it altogether, but the object is we need to correct it. Why is there high places oops. Why is there high places in Judah? What is the rebellion of Jacob? That's not really true. Jacob is not to be included in here. It would be Israel and it would be the kingdom of Judah. So I would have to say like this. Copy this, come up here, put this in, do this, and put Israel here. Okay. And then that way, there is rebellion in there is rebellion in Israel. And this is just, this would just be the capital city, but it's not hooking enough. There is rebellion in Israel. And why? Is there high places? Yeah, I know it's going slow. Sorry about that. I didn't intend it to go slow. I was going to go a little bit faster, but to get this format down, I haven't been able to do that. So I had to go through this to see what I can do, and I didn't want to do this all off site here. I wanted you to hear my thinking of why things are being removed and how you got to really search for these formats. Now I will, now he, being in our creator, because he's telling them to listen to him, okay? And he's pretty much telling this. Now YV is sending for term. Okay, and he's putting out the words. He's not yet said what the words he's heard. He's saying this in his own way. Now he will make Samaria a heap of ruins. Now I could make that 2 verses. But I still need a 3rd verse for this one here. So, but we're talking about Samaria being made of ruins. He'll make ruins. And then, where can I hook this to here? I will pour her stones down to the valley and lay bare her foundations. He's talking about the heap of ruins. Now, here's what's funny about Samaria. You've seen it on the maps where you're at, or where this Samaria is located. But in truth, it's not where you think it is. Let me see. Because this, yeah, this is what's going to happen. These are going to be taken over. Not these yet. These are later, these 3 here. But Samaria is located right here. Now, why is that different than the other places? Well, there's a king at a time when he's fighting for this place here, Ramath. And he's fighting against the Assyrians. And these are not the Assyrians, but the Armenians. And this is when Assyria came down, they conquered all this. They were over here battling. The king goes back to his castle, but Jehu is one of the commanders. And then what happens, he is anointed king, and the commanders say he is king. So he's come back to Samaria, or the capital, to kill the king. Now, what happens is there's a guard tower, and he sees the riding of one like Jehu coming. So he sends messages to the king that he's coming. He says, well, send out a messenger to see if it's about peace. And then the guy in the tower replies, he met them, but he's not coming back. So then the king gets together, and then he gets up to go out there. Now, how far can this guard see is the question, okay? Now, this can only happen if this river is here and this is on a hill, and they've got to pass this and come back through. They have to go through here and then back around this river to get over here. So this isn't really a valley. The valley goes down here. This is like, this river is 2,000, Jordan, is 2,000 feet below like the surface or this area over here. So this is quite an area, but the valley would be way over here. It says it starts to come down. This is just a river running from here down here. So this is why it's so important as the location of Samara. Okay, now that you're because I'm trying to get you to understand what and how is being, the words are being talked about. So when you see the word valley, you now know what this is. Like an open country for planting. For planting. Places for a vineyard. This is almost like it's a second verse. Open country like plan. And they didn't use stones to fortify the city. They can find these towers that would be used for the gate. Those were built up, but they didn't do a lot. They used wood as a fortress, okay, and they were just using logs of trees. This would be like an open country. Like an open country for planting. I will pour okay, so this is out. And this would be logs to be truthful. Your yeah, I guess I could say fortress walls. I'll pour its, yep, that's a good word, just come rolling out the mouth. I'll pour its fortress walls down into the valley. Okay, now that makes sense. This does not need to be there. Okay, now we've got 3 more verses. All of our idols will be smashed. All of our earnings will be burnt up. How do you grab the pay and do this? So this doesn't make sense. For all of her idols will be smashed. All idols for her. Now, who is her? This is the female goddess. Okay. All the idols for her will be smashed, will be destroyed. Some were made from casting, and some were made from wood, so they'll be destroyed. Okay, is it the more truthful word? No, that's right. I got way ahead of myself here. I just said it, that they're made out of casting, so they'll be smashed, and the rest of them burnt with fire. Boy, I just went away with it. All idols for her will be smashed or burned with fire. or burned with fire. For her images. For her images, I will make you a desolation, desolation, ruins, smash heap of ruins. So let's use the word ruins down here. Make you well, he's going to remove the people, make you desolate. Okay. Make you desolate. I'm not seeing that this is making sense. Because of this, I must lament and wail. Now, I know that there was a prophet that went naked for 3 years. So I must go barefoot and naked. And I don't think it was Malachi, but it seems that it is Malachi here. And this just doesn't need to be there. It's not hooking us 3. Here we got 3, and I couldn't make 3 out of that. And you collected them for harlot's earnings. The earnings are harlot, they will return. Anyways. I must lament like a jackals and mourn like an oaf. That is what he was told to do. Okay. Your wound will be incurable. It would be your wounds. Will be incurable. This has to be Israel again, not Judah. They are coming for, they're talking, now they're coming. Coming, not 2, but 4. They are coming for Israel and will reach the gates for Jerusalem. And Jerusalem is a good place, but the people are going, when the king is good, I make sure that it's still a good place. So we have that cleaned up, and I'm pretty sure that now that we've got a 3-verse format, because I can easily put it that way. Okay. And that just means that there's a verse here missing. And I can see it would be this word down here and telling it where its location is, what tribe. But we don't have that information. Okay, now that I know it's 3-verse format, I'm going to try to speed it up looking for that. Tell it not in Gath, weep not at all, and with the whatever, roll yourself in dust. This is a 4-verse. Go on your way, inhabitants of whatever, and shameful nakedness. Inhabitants of sin, do not examine, does not escape the limitation of take a sport from you, comes weak, waiting for good. No, the wound is incurable, and they're coming for Israel and reach the gates of Jerusalem. He is supposed to be telling everybody to do this. So this is not making any sense here. And this here, yeah, because this here and these are tied together. They're like 2 verses, and they would be like a 4-verse. That doesn't work. But sometimes, like I said, this could be true, and it could be for other text someplace else. I don't, if there's 4 verses later, then maybe this will go in there. Otherwise, that'll be out. He has taken from you his support, because he is sending down, and it would be taken from you his support. There are, okay, I'm just scanning down here, seeing because this is this here is not true. They didn't have chariots because they had a hill country. They were in a hill country. Chariots would have been only made for the enemy coming in because they needed to move and travel faster. Otherwise than that, a chariot, you didn't need to. You only needed to walk back and forth. So keeping a horse and chariot, like a team of horses needed for a chariot, I don't think so. Anyways, this doesn't make sense for the he has taken from you his support. Now your people now your army will, its prophecy will become weak. And they aren't waiting for good. This weakness doesn't come from there. But it is coming from our Creator. And this word doesn't need. This is not true. Or Linkish. Okay, let me put that up because you're probably saying, well, does he know where that's at? Okay. Linkish is this city down here. Okay. And that still has ruins today. So it doesn't matter over here, okay? And so I do know where Lankish is at, and now you know where it's at. Will become weak because I don't like the word I'm going to have to look that up later. Has come from YV because it's not a your. Speaking to, trying to put it into first person is always good because your problems has come from YV. Has to have. Has. Okay, I'm doing too much wrong here. Okay, let me just put that in there and go on here. To the daughters of Zion, because you were found with the rebellious acts of wisdom, or Israel, therefore you will be given parting gifts on behalf of, in the house of whatever, became a deception to the king. Okay. Actually, it's the sons of Jeroboam that became a deception to the kings for Israel. For Israel. Let me think here. Resign because in you were found rebellious acts of Israel. You will be given make yourself bald, cut off your hair, be by. And stay like an eagle. Boy, that's pretty high up there. And this, you're cutting your hair off because you will be captives in exile. You will be going, well, I guess you'll be going into exile. Now, this here, I try to get something that I can grasp onto, and then I need to work it back. I'll bring on one. Now, glory of Israel. There was no glory of Israel if they're gone away from him. And the glory of Israel is not Israel. Our Creator is their glory. So this cannot be true. this is not. This is almost like this. This we don't need, or just doesn't really make sense. I mean, if they're going to be sent into exile, they're going to be sent up there, not on behalf of these, is because our Creator is sick and tired of their evilness of leaving Him, and they've become His enemies because they have left Him. Okay. And now we're tying this to this word here, and I saying this is untruthful, but could go with this other 4-verse pattern because it's 4-verse pattern. Okay. Because your it's come from YHV. And that, it's because of the deception. The deception this would be by the kings for Israel. Because of the deception by the kings of Israel, I will bring on you one who takes possession of people. Because of the deception by the kings of Israel, I'll bring on you one who takes possession of people. This I'm going to have to color like this because I'm thinking that word's going to be he will bring upon you. Make yourself bald, cut off your hair. You will be going into exile. Woe to those who scheme iniquity and work out evil in their beds. Scheme, these will be sins because they're being against our Creator. These aren't iniquity, these are sins. If you don't know what a sin is, you better learn what a sin is, and that's not obeying our Creator, because our Creator needed a sin offering for you to be forgiven. So those who woe to those who scheme sins and work out their evilness on their beds. So how do you marry the daughter of a foreign god? You're saying, what am I talking about? Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about real quick. In Malachi 2:11 says Judah, the kingdom, has married the daughter of a foreign god. So this is what they were building, were her altars and the high places for her and her Creator, her God, who created her. So they have to sit and meditate to have this sexual experience to be able to be said married the daughter of a foreign god. Then you need a sexual experience to say the word married. Okay, so when Malachi says they had this marriage, now you know what I'm talking about, and this stuff is talking about, and it's the evilness and they were doing this on their beds. And who schemes sins. I'm trying to put these two together. Because when morning comes, they do it. Okay, so that is true, that they do this, who scheme out sins and not work out, and work their evilness on their beds. When morning comes, they do it. Woe to those who work their evilness in their bed. Yes, this is not needed. Woes are for those. Woes are for those who, and I get to take this out here and this out here, who work their evils on their beds. For when morning comes, they do this. Okay. By the power of their hands, they seize your house. And maybe this is talking about the enemy coming down by their power, by the power of their hands. They will seize them in here. They will seize you. Oops. They will seize you. In your homes. And I'm just going to put homes here, not houses. And take them away as captives. Because that's what they did. Okay. This is out. Now it got to that 1 hour marking and I didn't get through. I see down here, I got 9 pages to go through here. Okay, this is going to be a long one. Hang in there. You're seeing the editing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, I guess I should show you that and then finish. Because if you got here, you're scrolling to the end of the video to see this. So What I'm going to do here real quick is go like this. And yes, you see that. I did all this in 1995 and I'm updating everything here. Okay, hold on. I got to get that phone just a second. Spammers. I hate them people. Okay, now let me go here. Put this here. Then I do this. Whoops. And I want to get rid of all the small text that I've been making smaller. It's so easy to sit here and just one button take out all that. And then there's many times there's so many spaces, 28, that I'd have to fix. But now I got to come here and I'm going to go here, keep that. And we can see that this is not really 2 because it's caught up, so we can get rid of that. And I can do that. And yes, it looks like I'm going to need to change that yet. But and that's what this text looks like when all cleaned up. And what I'll do is I'll stick it here. And I'll also show the same text at the beginning of the next video. But I know people like taking screenshots to take a look when they see something like this. So there, I'll hold it like that for a while. Take your screenshot and you can be able to read it and see how well that text really goes together. So, okay, until the next one pops up, and these are getting longer, so it takes more hours to get them all in there. I really want to show you what's going on up here and teach you how to correct or why I'm correcting in what I'm doing.